Hi everyone, I'm Sara Awada. I hope that my presentation today contributes to our understanding of the role of English languages in our societies by illustrating ideological struggles for identity on our students in the education space that is increasingly being dominated by the use of EMI, specifically in Vietnam. Here's a quick overview of today's presentation. We will start by defining our key concept, which is social justice in education. We will then talk about disciplinary perspectives. We will explore history of English language education in Vietnam and how the language ideologies have changed in Vietnam. We will move then to talk about EMI in Vietnam, its benefits and challenges. And then we will move to talk about native speakerism. We will discover the sociological concepts presented by Bourdieu. We will end up with some takeaways and some reflective questions to guide further studies. To begin with, the definition of social justice in education is neither universally agreed upon, nor has it remained static over time. Concepts of fairness, social recognition, diversity, inclusion, and anti-bias are among the main concepts that constitute how scholars think about and how educators practice social justice in their work. For educators and scholars, social justice means both exploring what a socially equitable education system would look like and how education plays a role in developing and maintaining a socially just society. Just like any institution, from a macro perspective, there are concerns about funding fairness, broad social and cultural context, external political mandates, and private sector pressures that affect the ways in which children and communities experience schools fairly or unfairly. On a more micro level, social justice concerns include how educators are hired, the school culture, student discipline, curriculum, and pedagogical practices and individual interactions. Now, the relationship between language and social phenomena is often demonstrated through language ideologies. Language ideologies are ideas with which participants frame their understandings of linguistic varieties and the differences among them, and map those understandings onto people, events, and activities. While elite schools are located in both public and private sectors in many countries, elite education is also provided by international schools. In post-colonial and other non-dominant English-using societies, just like Vietnam, these schools are practically English medium schools. EMI in general remained an effective pathway for elite maintenance in post-colonial societies. Language ideologies are understood as beliefs about roles or functions accorded to English in EMI programs in relation to the Vietnamese language in Vietnam. The following factors construct elite identity in EMI contexts. Language ideologies, again, are key identity resources and beliefs about English and other languages nurtured through schooling and are integral to one's identity. Although this was in 2011, but Van Ryck has believed since then that EMI students are students of the new globe elite because of their belonging everywhere and nowhere. Now let's explore Vietnam's historical background of English language education. In the period leading up to the Vietnam War with the USA engagement in South Vietnam, interest in learning English as a second foreign language grew significantly. Then the Vietnam War put a stop to this after the independence of the country in 1975. And for over a decade following it, attitudes to English remained predominantly negative as the language of the invader. As a reflection of the country's political affiliation with the former Soviet Union after the Vietnam War, Russian became the primary foreign language in the national educational system. However, English as the top foreign language has been revived since the 1986 Open Door and Economic Reform Policy. This led to ideological tensions between nationalists in favor of the mother tongue as a medium of instruction and instrumentalists in favor of EMI in different areas. So, in Vietnam, there has been a great shift in language ideologies, from the political ideology of resistance to the instrumentalist ideology. This is due to the reform, which has led to significant growth in demand for English across the country, since English is rightfully regarded as instrumental to providing Vietnam with an economic and political competitive edge in the context of globalization and internationalization. Now let's talk about the justification for EMI in Vietnam. A study conducted by Lay in 2017 in Vietnam, where 1,415 students and 22 lecturers in business and management department participated. According to students, it's evident that EMI helps them master language competence, gain more professional development, get direct exposure to the academic world, bring economic value, facilitate internationalization of higher education, and provide access to various sources of knowledge. According to this article, a 3-year longitudinal study was conducted in Ho Chi Minh City in 10 universities, which showed that curriculum is internationalized since it's imported from Anglophone countries and adopted in Vietnamese universities. This is an excerpt from one of the university's documents. The highlighted terms show that it is assumed that to teach an advanced, high-ranked program, the curriculum would not be local. This aligns with what Tran and others considered as internationalization at home. The same study in Vietnam reveals monolingual orientations. The highlighted phrases show that the students, administrators, and the lecturers prefer to use English only in their EMI classes. It's more like we're saying EMI ensures good quality in our classrooms. In another study conducted in Thailand and Vietnam, but I have considered only the Vietnamese responses and perspectives, it's also evident that English-only policy is dominant for 3 main factors. Students believe that the English native speaker is more credible as a teacher, and graduating from an English-speaking university secures better opportunities. And even when it comes to content, native speakers are more capable. This finding aligns with Pennycook's theory that celebrates the position of English as a global language for its long history of colonial heritage. So there's always a desire for global belonging over local national rootedness. So how would native speakerism impact our EMI contexts? With native speakerism, a better image is created and more power is guaranteed due to using English only. Thus, L1 is marginalized, which leads to inequality in our classrooms. So how is native speakerism manifested in our EMI classrooms in Vietnam? First of all, students prefer English native speakers to teach them imported curricula using English textbooks, which marginalizes their Vietnamese language. Also, it's for the students' benefit to have studied in schools where English is the medium of instruction, in order to be accepted in universities and later on in workplace. According to Bourdieu, there are 4 sociological concepts that affect our choices. Cultural capital manifests itself in the embodied academic knowledge and skill and educational qualifications. Economic capital refers to the resources that help individuals make money. Social capital is understood as collectively owned capital that entails relationships and social networks. Investing in the field of EMI education, for example, it's believed to get students directly exposed to sources of academic knowledge, which is the cultural capital, and have a good command of English, which is the linguistic capital. These forms of cultural and linguistic capital are convertible into economic capital because they offer students more competitive advantages in the global labor market. This gives English language its symbolic power. However, small number of the participants in this article believe that instead of strict language management of English only, and here are the students' perspectives. English and Vietnamese should be adopted in a flexible manner with a view to optimizing EMI learning. This comment highlighted that the use of the mother tongue did not undermine the effectiveness of the program, but benefited students by helping them tackle difficulties in understanding complicated English conceptual knowledge. Code switching then would provide students with mental connections between English and Vietnamese, encouraging learning to take place. What is needed then is a clear language policy communicated with the teachers and students in an EMI context that supports translanguaging, because L1 is a linguistic resource just like English. Also, it's significant to have more critical research that highlights the importance of translanguaging practices in English language acquisition contexts. This is the key principal implication of my research. When our learners use English, they're not only showing us their linguistic abilities. Learning in another language is about how they interact with others and the feelings associated with that as well. To guide further research and improve our teaching practices in EMI contexts, it's important to reflect. These are some questions that can help us throughout the whole process and achieve social justice while teaching non-native English students through English medium instructions. So are we really advocating for multilingualism and globalism if we impose one language policy in our classrooms and marginalize students L1? This contradicts the rationale behind EMI in the first place. This is the list of references if you'd like to refer to any of the books or articles I've read. I'd like to thank you very much for listening. This is my email if you'd like to contact me to discuss the topic or further research or collaborations. Thank you so much.